Good afternoon, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the afternoon weather update. We do this every day here at 2:30. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook Live. So if you are joining us from Facebook or even YouTube now, we can actually monitor your comments. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below. Hopefully I'll be able to address them as I go through the forecast here, but if not, I'll go through at the very end and see if I can address anything individually for you. But we're going to start off this stream here by kind of discussing the alert days that we have on the board for the end of the work week. We've got one in effect for tomorrow night, specifically tomorrow evening, and then another one Friday afternoon and into Friday night. We've got the potential for some severe thunderstorms, but there are some caveats, especially with tomorrow's risk. And I'll break down all those details here coming up in the First Alert Weather Show. But just right out the gate, again, First Alert Weather Days, Thursday night and through the day on Friday. Severe thunderstorms are possible. Severe weather does materialize. All hazards would be possible as well. So damaging wind gusts, hail, and even tornadoes would be possible if severe weather were to materialize tomorrow or on Friday. So here's a look at our storm risk for Thursday. You can see the entire tri-state here has been covered in that level 2 slight risk for severe weather. So it's still that isolated to scattered chance for a few severe thunderstorms. We're not expecting widespread severe weather here in the tri-state for tomorrow. The better chances for that is actually going to be off to our north, situated over the Great Lakes, mostly over Wisconsin and Michigan and portions of northern Illinois and northern Indiana. The farther south you go, the less forcing there is, and there's a cap in place. So this cap is really throwing us for a loop here, and a lot of the models, in fact, all the models that we look at right now, show something completely different happening for tomorrow. So the forecast for our Thursday, or the confidence in it, is very low at this time. It's going to really be a completely sunny day, or we're going to see some nasty storms in the evening, and there's going to be no in between, and it's all because of that cap. So again, slight risk for tomorrow, 2 out of 5. So isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms are possible, especially as we get towards the evening hours. Now it's very possible that we see nothing happen, and I'll explain that in a second. But here's a look at our risks individually. So we're at a level 2 risk for that wind for tomorrow, a level 2 risk for hail, and a level 2 risk for tornadoes. So they're all evenly panned out in terms of our threat level. But you will notice here that on that hail graph, you may have a little harder time to see it being so far away. But if I take it full screen, you'll notice that we do have those black hatch marks going through our hail parameter. So that indicates potentially up to 2 inch in diameter or greater hail would be possible if severe weather were to materialize. And again, that is a big if for Thursday. Remember, that cap is going to be in place. So I'm going to show you 2 different models here and show you what I'm talking about in terms of uncertainty and model variability with tomorrow. So the graph model is our in-house model, and at this point in this range, around 24 hours out from a particular event, I find this model to be actually very useful and very reliable, and this is one of the models that wants to keep that cap in place through tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. So that prevents a lot of convection from bubbling up. In fact, this model, if we were to take it for its word, it would print out maybe a sprinkle in some parts of western Kentucky for Thursday night, and that would be it. Now, the other models are a little bit more aggressive. The HER model, which is also another high resolution, shorter range model that we like to use. However, I do like to use this more on the day of things. It gets a little bit too messy sometimes when you use it a little bit farther out in its range. So this model in particular wants to erode away at that cap a little bit more. So that actually allows some convection to bubble up through Thursday afternoon and even into Thursday evening. It wants to keep most of that over western Kentucky. So that would be our greatest risk for some severe thunderstorms if we were to see it, would be kind of mid to late afternoon and then possibly lingering into the evening hours of Thursday. And then it starts to just bring in a few spotty showers overnight Thursday and into early Friday morning. Now, I've been talking about a cap. That cap, what is it? So how is it that we can get possibly some severe thunderstorms, but at the same time have almost no % chance for rain? So here's kind of why. And here's what's kind of been the boggling part about this forecast over the last couple of days. Whether or not we think there's going to be severe weather has to do with this cap. So Pretty much how storms form is that the heating of the day, as that sun is up in the afternoon, it heats up the ground first. So that generates some updrafts. So that warm air at the surface, it now wants to rise. So as long as the temperature continues to fall with height, that parcel of air will continue to rise and it will develop into thunderstorms. Now, say you throw in a layer of warm air higher up in the atmosphere, that's what we call a cap. So now, instead of temperatures cooling with height, you actually get temperatures cooling with height, but then they sharply increase. And that kind of acts as a barrier for that parcel of air to stop rising. And if it stops rising, then we don't get any thunderstorm development. So if we have that cap in place, which is just this layer of warm air, that would actually squander any threat for thunderstorm development. Now, however, what's even harder and makes it a little bit more difficult is while the cap is going to be in place, there could be some areas within the cap that are a little bit weaker or even gone or eroded away. And it's within those weak points or those missing areas that you could get that parcel of air to rise. And as it lifts up, it's actually able to continue to lift through that cap because it's a little thinner or a little weaker there. And then that can lead to some explosive thunderstorm growth once it gets past that cap. So that's why tomorrow is kind of an all or nothing day. We really just have to see what is going to happen with that cap. Now, a lot of the models do struggle putting out some convection there. So at this point in time, I'm leaning more towards the cap staying in place, and it looks like the National Weather Service is kind of leaning that way as well, just because the percent chance for rain is so low. However, if we do get something to develop, it's definitely going to have plenty of energy to use to become severe. And now this brings us into Friday. So here's a look at our storm risk for Friday. This was actually just upgraded. This is hot off the press. I believe this updated at 2:30. So right as I started this stream, this updated. So we were at a level 2 risk for Friday. Now we have been increased to a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe thunderstorms on Friday. And I think we're more confident in the potential for severe weather for Friday as well. So this kind of makes sense seeing this upgrade there. So let me talk about it here. So we're looking at all hazards are possible. Again, this is now for Friday. All hazards, hail, wind, and tornadoes are all possible there. Again, I think maybe damaging wind gusts and tornadoes will be a slightly bigger threat with Friday's system, and it looks like maybe even some heavier rain could be a threat as well. So here's a look at the timing of everything for Friday. Now, this is the graph model. This is our in-house model. The HER model doesn't go out quite that far yet, so this is kind of what we're using when we're in that 48-hour range. So here we are waking up Friday morning. And now there is also some uncertainty with the timing of Friday. It looks like there could be a couple of rounds of thunderstorms. There could be maybe a few thunderstorms early in the morning on Friday. That's what the graph model has kind of been printing out, just barely grazing western Kentucky. And then it looks like it wants to keep us dry through much of the late morning hours and into the early afternoon until we get this line of storms to move in from the west. And it looks like it wants to put that in here right around mid-afternoon, right around this time on Friday. It could be moving through southern Illinois, and this would just blast through the tri-state from west to east in the afternoon. And then it looks like maybe another round of showers and some severe thunderstorms possible over western Kentucky as we get into Friday evening with just some extra showers and storms that are bubbling up behind that main line. So that could linger later into Friday night. So a lot more potential, I believe, for severe weather on Friday compared to Thursday. However, both days are going to be alert days. So tomorrow, we have that cap to contend with. We could very well see nothing happen as we get through our Thursday, but we do see another round on Friday, and I do think Friday definitely a little bit more certain, a little bit more confident in how that will all play out. So 2 days there, Thursday and Friday, for the potential of severe weather. So now I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to check out your comments and questions for you on Facebook to see what you guys are saying. A lot of people saying good afternoon, Ashlyn and Chris. Ashlyn says she's been hearing a lot about Friday. She's getting confused about it. Like some say it's isolated tornado risk and some say it's a more widespread tornado risk. At least looking at Friday, especially with this brand new update that we just got at 2:30, I'd be a little bit more confident that, maybe isolated to scattered tornado risk is possible for Friday. But again, all hazards are going to be possible here. So, making preparations for the potential for hail, wind, and tornadoes is going to be the key, especially for Friday. Now, tomorrow, I think we have more of a damaging wind and a hail threat, but you can't completely rule out tornadoes if we even see thunderstorms develop. So tomorrow is the big caveat day. Tomorrow is the day where we have the biggest bust potential in terms of the forecast. It looks like Jeanette says good afternoon. All right. Looks like someone's getting their car back from the shop from the hail damage that they saw in March. Really don't need another hailstorm. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Hopefully we don't get the hail. Hopefully we miss that and your car will be all good. I'm keeping you in my prayers there. Is this going to be like an April 2nd type of event? I don't think so. Again, April 2nd, that was definitely like a huge, widespread tornado and severe weather risk. I do think that there is a potential for at least some good severe thunderstorms for Friday. However, comparing it to April 2nd, it's a completely different setup. It's kind of hard to compare the two, but we definitely will be expecting some thunderstorm warnings and even probably some tornado warnings as we get into Friday. So just preparing for that like we normally would with any severe weather threat. But that is all the questions that I'm seeing there right now. So I'm going to continue on with the rest of the forecast here. So this is just going to go over what we can expect for the rest of the day today and as we go through the rest of the work week in general and into next week. So right now, today, we're watching some pop-up showers, maybe even a thunderstorm this afternoon or evening. Temperatures continue to rise well above average as we go through the end of the work week here. So starting tomorrow, we could be topping out in the 90s. We could be breaking 90 degrees for the first time this year for Thursday. It'll stay warm for Friday and likely remaining at least in the upper 70s to lower 80s as we go through next weekend. And then of course we covered those alert threats for Thursday and Friday already. But right now temperatures have warmed up into the lower 80s, 82 now here in Evansville. We've got some cumulus clouds now building up there with the heating of the day. That's why we're likely going to see maybe a spot shower or a storm this afternoon. 83 in Owensboro, 81 in Henderson and Jasper, and around 82 there in Madisonville. So here's a look at our 12-hour forecast. We can see clouds continue to bubble up. Again, there is the chance for a stray shower, but most of us will likely stay dry this afternoon and evening. Temperatures will drop down through the 80s and down into the lower 70s for our overnight lows. Now here's a look at our setup. We've got high pressure anchored over to our south. We've got kind of a dying storm system lifting up off to our north, and then we've got this other low that we're keeping track of for Thursday into Friday building out over the mountain west. So generally pretty quiet pattern here through the Midwest. Again, a few spot showers or afternoon thunderstorm can't be ruled out here, but right now it's pretty quiet across the tri-state. We're just seeing some puffy cumulus clouds building in. And now looking at our future radar here, you can see those little green splotches. That's the chance for maybe a spot shower or a storm that I was talking about. And then once the sun sets, we'll lose that heating of the day element. So we're going to stay quiet overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Now, looking at the longer range kind of forecast here, the Climate Prediction Center putting out their 6 to 10-day temperature outlook. May 20th through the 24th, we're actually shown to be right around average or maybe even slightly cooler than average in terms of our temperatures. So while we're really warming up this week, checking it out, 91 degrees by tomorrow, 80s through Friday, upper 70s on Sunday, but you can see the temperatures do come back down to right around average or maybe even slightly below as we get towards the middle and end of next week. So that is what the Climate Prediction Center is kind of picking up on there. And there's a look at your 7-day forecast just to kind of wrap everything up in a little bow. I'm going to take this full screen so you guys can see it better. Again, we're watching out for the potential for a few severe thunderstorms as we get into tomorrow, primarily in the afternoon or evening time. Now, there is a caveat with this. We do have that cap in place. So if that cap doesn't break, we don't see any thunderstorms at all. So big bust potential for our Thursday. But then as we get into Friday, we're a little bit more confident in the potential for severe weather. So that would be in the afternoon and into the evening hours. We could see a couple of rounds of thunderstorms. So we'll kind of fine tune those details. All hazards would be possible if severe weather were to materialize to Thursday or Friday. So tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. And then it looks like we start to dry out a little bit more for our Saturday. Temperatures still in the 70s. Sunday, it looks like maybe the first half of the day stays dry. Some showers maybe move in overnight Sunday and kind of plague the first half of next week with more unsettled weather. So that is the forecast this afternoon here. I'm going to send you guys over to 14 News at 4, 5, and 6 for all the latest news and weather headlines on air. If you want to hang out with us on streaming again, we'll be back here at 9 o'clock tonight with Jeff Lyons for after our evening weather show. And then, of course, back on air at 10 again tonight for more news and weather. So until then, everybody have a great rest of your afternoon and stay safe.